Walk through any major Ghanaian city today, Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and you will see exactly the same thing. Walls buried under layers of paper, church revivals stacked on campaign faces, stacked on concert flyers, stacked on call this number for the best deal in town, stacked on remedial classes, stacked on various things. This is not a Sekondi-Takoradi problem. It's a nationwide problem. But zoom in right here to our own beautiful city, and it's no different. Before Sekondi-Takoradi wakes up, someone has already been at work. Bucket, brush, glue, paper. By sunrise, another wall is gone. It happens every night, in every corner of this wonderful city. And for years, almost nobody has been arrested for it. Today we found out why, and the answer isn't what most of us assumed. Let's start with what's actually on the books. This is not a gray area. Under the Local Governance Act of 2016, Act 936, our assemblies have the power to regulate exactly this. We sat down with the STMA's public relations officer, John Last, to find out what the law says.
If you look at our bylaws, it is clear that no business, no individual, no organization or group can display a poster material or advertising material without the consent or approval by the assembly. So definitely, once it's started, once it's not well organized, not controlled, what it means is that there's some level of, lawlessness within the system. And indeed, I mean, it's something that we are not happy. Okay, we are not happy as a city authority because, of course, it creates some level of, insanitary conditions in some of these areas, and also the fact that at times it diverts attention. If you look at the motorists, and other pedestrians, people can, focus on some of these materials to a level that they may lose focus, may lose attention, regardless of wherever they are. So indeed, if you look at the level within the system, yes, there's some form of lawlessness, which the assembly has noticed. If you look at the bylaw, I mean, under the estimate bylaw, cleansing bylaw 2017, paragraph 4, it says no person shall affix posters for advertisement on any wall, tree, or fixtures in a public space other than, then it gives the other place which is approved. And the law says it's a nuisance for anybody to display a poster without approval. And the punishment, he said fine of 25 penalty units, or it gives or 2 years imprisonment. Okay, so this is what the bylaws gives.
25 penalty units, up to 2 years in prison. That's not a slap on the wrist. That's a serious law. And notice his word for what these poster-covered walls represent. Insanity, not an inconvenience. Insanity. So, if the law is that strong, and the assembly itself is this unhappy about what our streets look like, why does it keep happening, night after night, wall after wall? Here is where it gets interesting. We expected the PRO to tell us enforcement was about arresting more people. Instead, he told us something the public rarely hears. The assembly has its own gap in this story.
The enforcement has been difficult. It has not been easy for the assembly because if the law itself, he said except. So what it means is that as a city authority, we have to provide the infrastructure or the spaces for these businesses to display. That's the ideal situation. Okay. So currently what we are doing, because the law, the assembly itself or as city authority, we have not able to provide these infrastructure for them to display. We normally monitor and give them, try to control them as to where they can place and where they cannot place. You realize that across the metro, there are areas where, of course, you pass through or drive past the area and you notice these materials are available there. So our outdoor advertising unit make sure that whatever you are displaying, is approved in terms of the content. We looked at the various details to make sure that it conforms to the standards approved by the regulatory agencies and all the bodies. But in terms of arrest and prosecution, it's not something that over the years, the assembly itself has been doing, because by the bylaw, we have to provide infrastructure, but it's not there yet. So the only thing that we have to do is to control, manage the situation as it is, to make sure that the people don't, litter around, or, display these materials anywhere or everywhere that they find appropriate to them.
Let that sink in for a minute. The same bylaw that punishes you for pasting a poster also obligates the assembly to first give you somewhere legal to paste it. And for years, that side of the bargain hasn't been kept. So when we ask, why hasn't anyone been prosecuted? Part of the honest answer, in the assembly's own words, is that the system meant to make enforcement fair was never built. That doesn't excuse the mess on our walls, but it reframes the question. This was never only a story about indisciplined citizens. It's also a story about an unfinished promise from the city itself. So what happens now? We push the PRO on this. Because if the paster who works at odd hours is nearly impossible to catch, who does the assembly actually go after?
It's not the individual. It's a business, or whoever's detail on the material. Okay, where there are numbers or locations, we have to trace to that location, or to that individual or organization, to make sure that we apply the law against him. So it's not the person who display. Okay, of course, like you rightly said, sometimes they do it, other ways. So you won't even see them, but we pick the details on the material. So always the charge is against the persons whose details are on the material, and not the person who is. Of course, if the person is displaying and is caught or is seen, definitely that one we will pick him up, and then it's up to him to say that, look, somebody sent him, or it's not or this person asked me to display it here. But once you're unable to identify that person, what it means is that we look at the details, the content of the material, and then whoever's details are provided, we pick it up and then follow up to make sure that we get a person.
So here's the shift. The target isn't primarily the man with the brush anymore. It's the name and phone number printed boldly at the bottom of the poster. The one nobody bothers to hide, because until now, nobody thought they would be traced through it. That changes the calculation for every church, every business, every event promoter in this city currently advertising this way. And the assembly isn't just threatening enforcement. They are asking for cooperation first.
For the general public, I will first say that yes, as city authority, we will not provide infrastructure as per our bylaw in the state, but we all in principle agree that if you go through town, there are some common areas where it's allowed for display of such materials. We will just urge them to follow suit. They should make sure that they get in touch with the assembly, our outdoor advertising unit. They will guide them. Okay, the number of posters they intend to display, the size, the content. We look at all these things, and then we will guide them as to which areas they are permitted to display them. Okay, even though at the moment we've not provided the needed infrastructure that will make sure that it's controlled.
In other words, before STMA comes looking for your name on a wall somewhere it shouldn't be, you can walk into their office and ask them where it's allowed to be. That offer is on the table right now. So here is where we land. The law is real. 25 penalty units, up to 2 years in prison. The chaos on our walls is real too, and the assembly admits it. But so is the missing piece, the legal spaces that were promised but never built. Going forward, STMA says the target shifts to the businesses and institutions whose names sit boldly on every poster. And they are inviting all of us to come in and get guidance before it comes to that. Now we want to hear from you. Who do you think should really carry the blame here? Is it the assembly for not building the spaces? The businesses employing the services of individuals to paste their posters indiscriminately out there? Or the man who goes in for the contract to paste posters indiscriminately throughout our city? Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts with us. Reporting from Sekondi-Takoradi, my name is Arafat Musa.